What's going on? What's going on? Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Steve the Kidney Nurse, Part 2, Patients' Rights and Responsibilities. Look, share this broadcast because I'm just going to get into some stuff tonight, about 30, 45 minutes that, you're going to see or kind of see where I'm coming from when I show you these pictures. Because let me tell you, for the last several days, I posted pictures of a unit I used to work at in Baltimore, Maryland. It was a DaVita kidney care in Baltimore City, Maryland, specifically at Union Memorial Hospital. Now, I can see I have some feedback on my program, so bear with me. But look, the last several days, you're seeing pictures of inside a dialysis unit that the floors were messy and some other things. Now, I had a couple of patients who said that they don't want to know about the past. They want to see what's going on in the future, right? So that doesn't mean because something is better now that the company didn't practice a culture of this type of behavior. So let me just, before I get into my broadcast, let me just show you some pictures. Now, if you were going to a dialysis facility, your clinic may be spotless, right? But if you was going to a facility, now, first of all, let me read the patient's right. I went over this on Thursday night. Now, let me read number 6 of your patient's rights, of the patient's rights and responsibilities. It says, you are entitled to the following. Number 6, to receive adequate, safe, sanitary, and efficient dialysis treatment and respectful care by competent personnel in a comfortable environment. Okay. Now, does that look like that's a comfortable environment, sanitary, where you have, this is a stall in a patient station where they are they're doing plaster. Okay, let me remove this banner so you can see it. This is a clinic I used to work at. Now, you wouldn't see no other employee come on here and post pictures like this. I can't tell you why when I worked in 2018, I decided to take these pictures. Now, does that look sanitary to you? If you was getting dialysis, would you want to sit next to that? You see the dialysis machine right there. You see the hand sanitizer station. This was where that was at. All right. All while patient was dialyzing. Now let's go to the water treatment room. All right. This is where the nurses go and check the water for chlorine and chloramine. Also, you see that blue barrel. That's where acid is pumped out for your treatment. And you see that hose on top that look like a gas nozzle that you put in your gas tank. You see how it's sitting out, and you see the filth and the dust on the floor. Now, when the people will put the acid in the tank, and I want to show you the tank, you got to think about the sanitary conditions. Here go another one down in the water treatment room. Look how dirty that is. These are the conditions that I was exposed to that no one knew about. Here go the tank. There go the acid tank. Look at the top, how cruddy that is. Now, if you went to a dialysis center like this, would you want to know if this was taking place downstairs and you upstairs getting your dialysis treatment and this cruddy like I don't know what, right? Here go the floor. Look at that. You see the acid tank right next to it. You can see the acid in the tank. And you see the floor looks like almost like black mold. And here go a picture of myself. Now, why would I be in a room with a 3M mask on with a filter before COVID? Because of the conditions in this room that I was subjected to. So I bring all this up because I worked on the inside for 19 years for this company, 33 total. And no other employer is going to come out and tell you the ill wills of $1 billion company. I don't care anymore, okay? I just want people to know that this is happening. It may not be happening at your unit, but it's happening. So with that being said, let me move on to part 2 of patient rights and responsibilities. Now, I urge you to go back, whether you're Fresenius, DaVita, US Reno, or whatever ARA, whatever dialysis company you go for your treatment. Go back and look over your patient standards of conduct, responsibility, and facility rules, and also your patient rights. Now, today, I'm going to go over this form. And so I'm going to explain it to you as if you were starting dialysis today. So here we go. The purpose of this form is to acknowledge that as a blank patient, I must comply with the following responsibilities to myself, the facility, the blank teammates, and my fellow patients. I am also responsible for adhering to the facility rules. Failure to comply with the patient standard of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules may result in consequences. Now, why would they say consequences? All right, you go in there for your treatment. Now, you have consequences if you don't go by the patient's standards of conduct and responsibilities. Hey, Jared, just trying to get this education out there because a lot of people are not aware of this. And then when they go outside of the patient standards of conduct and these facilities give them a 30-day notice to find another unit, they're like, what happened? I'm about to explain that a lot of patients don't go over their patient stand. It comes with the consent form, that whole packet. So here it goes. It says, please read the following statements carefully. Patient standard of conduct and responsibilities. Number 1, I had a responsibility to comply with the blank financial policies and am required to sign the patient's acknowledgement, authorization, and financial responsibility form. Now you're going to see how maybe about 3 of these standard deal with financial responsibility. Number 2, I had the responsibility to provide blank with accurate identification, demographic information, and insurance coverage information upon registration with blank and throughout the course of receiving treatment from blank. Number 3, I had a responsibility to cooperate with the social worker and keep him or her updated with changes to my name, residential address, insurance, and financial status, employment, changes in my family, support system, and other changes that may affect my health care and ability to meet my financial obligations for services received from blank. I will notify blank as soon as possible, but no later than they give you 2 business days after any such changes. How awful. You lose your job, 2 business days to provide blank or your dialysis clinic with the changes. Number 4, I am responsible for coming to treatments as scheduled and arriving on time. Let me repeat that. I am responsible for coming to treatments as scheduled and arriving on time. If I need to change my scheduled treatment time, I must notify the facility administrator during normal business hours and no later than 2 hours prior to my scheduled treatment, and the change must be approved by the facility administrator. Change in duration of or frequency of treatments must be approved by my attending physician. See, a lot of patients, now there's only 3 people on here watching, and that's a travesty. It's a doggone travesty. And the reason why it's a travesty, because I know many patients who have started or about to start is going to go through this process. It's an overwhelming process when you go for your first outpatient dialysis treatment. They come with you with a stack of papers. You may not be feeling your best because you just got discharged from the hospital, and here you are on a Monday or a Tuesday at an outpatient unit signing papers ready to start your treatment. Some of you may feel well, some of you may not. Some of you may read all the paperwork that you get. Some of you may not. However, it's my duty as a nurse to make sure everyone that goes through this process understands the entire process and not just get the paperwork and put it in a manila envelope and put it to the side. Because when something goes wrong, or if you got a complaint or whatever, you got some beef with someone else in the unit, or you got a beef with the tech or the nurse or another patient, and you want to fisticuff, better be careful, because that is grounds to terminate you and involuntary discharge you, right, from the unit, thus putting that information out there, and that's going to cause problems for you getting treatment somewhere else, because they're going to look at you as a violent patient. Then you're going to have to go to the emergency room or to the hospital to get your treatment. Number 5, I had a responsibility to follow the directions. Again, I had a responsibility to follow the directions of the charge nurse while in the facility. A lot of people don't know that. This is your standards of conduct and responsibilities that you signed, right, that you was going to do. Number 5, I had a responsibility to follow the direction, I'm getting tongue-tied here, of the charge nurse while in the facility. Number 6, if I submit an advance directive, I am responsible for immediately notifying my attending physician, the nurse responsible for my clinical care, and or my social worker if I want to change my advance directive in any way. Number 7, I had a responsibility to adhere to all aspects of my dialysis treatment as prescribed by my physician. If I disagree with the prescription or desire that changes be made, I must discuss it with my attending physician. My physician is the only one who can order these changes. Again, it's a travesty that is no more than 4 people. There's more than 500,000 people worldwide and more undergo outpatient hemodialysis. And a lot of them don't know this or don't realize that, hey, I had the responsibility, me, to adhere to all aspects of my dialysis treatment. They want you to run 4 hours, you run 4 hours. They want to give you saline, they're going to give you saline. All right? They expect you to adhere to all aspects, okay, of your treatment as prescribed by your physician. Okay? If you disagree, it tells you in the paperwork, if you disagree with the prescription, so if he writes 4 hours, 4.5, if you disagree, you don't have to go along with it. It tells you, it says, if I disagree with the prescription, if you don't want to run 4 hours, if you don't want to run 3.5, right? If you don't want 15 gauge needles, if you don't want to run 400 pump speed, if you don't want to do 3 days a week, you don't have to. If you disagree with the prescription or desire that changes be made, if you desire, that's what you want to do. If you desire that changes be made to this prescription, right, you must discuss it with the physician. Go knock on this door. You know, if you can't see him in the unit, go to his office. Hey, I want to change my prescription. I've been monitoring. This is how things look like. I want to try 3.5 hours. And then it says, my physician is the only one who can order these changes, not the charge nurse, not the technician, not your staff nurse, okay? Only the physician. Number 8, you or I am responsible for my own transportation. Not Fresenius, not DaVita, not US Renal, not any other mom and pop dialysis clinic. You are responsible for your own transportation to and from the dialysis clinic. Number 9, I am responsible for treating other patients, visitors, and facility teammates with consideration and respect. I will not engage in any behavior that endangers, threatens, or harm others or use profanity. Now, let me tell you something. I worked in a lot of units. I worked in plushy, high-class units, right? Beverly Hill type. And I worked in gutter type units. All right. And I hate to say it like that, but that's how it was. Just speaking the truth. And one of these units, I seen a patient discontinue her treatment, right? Had the staff take her off, right? Hold her sight, pull my needles. Once she stopped bleeding, she got up, went around to the other side of the room where another lady, older lady, was on treatment and slapped the living daylights out of her, right? With her right hand. And all that lady could do was sit in the chair, hold her face, and cry. All because when that lady who got slapped came in, she asked the lady on the machine had a lollipop, a blow pop in her mouth. She asked her if she had one. The lady said, "Bitch, I told you I didn't have one." And then the lady said, "Your mother's a bitch." And that's all it took. That's all it took. The lady who got off the machine had mental illness. But it happens. You may be in a unit that nothing like that never occurred. I've seen it all. I worked in prisons with people fighting. Worked in the 5-unit prison. So I don't know why God put me on this mission, guys, to speak truth, because truth is the new black. I just want people to know that I'm not bashing, but I'm just letting you know that everything that look good on the outside ain't so effing good on the inside. And I'm one of those people that I feel like maybe God has ordained me, whether you like it or not, to spit the truth that patients go through. Maybe you may not went through this, but other patients have. I'm not making this stuff up right here. I'm not making that up. I'm not making that picture up wearing a 3M mask where I check the water and you can see where the towel is missing at the top. I'm not making this up. This is where the acid goes in and goes to the patients up to the floor. This is not made up stuff. This is a patient station. You can see right here, you can see the machine to your right corner of the picture. Look at the floor. There's no floor molding. You can see the machine. This is right plain and simple in front of you. And I'll be damned if I don't expose this, because maybe you didn't go through it, right? Out in the suburbs, in the unit out there. Maybe 30-40% of the patients got private insurance. But I'm talking about the units in the inner city where 99.9% are minorities, African Americans, blacks, however you want to frame it up. Okay, that's the hard code truth. And a lot of these patients have Medicare and Medicaid. And these clinics that cater to these warriors that have their shit like this in the room where they mix the solution to use for your bath, okay? This is a goddamn travesty. That looks like black mold on the floor. And you can see the acid in that drum, halfway filled up. It delivers up to the floor. And so, no, maybe it has changed since 2018 when I was there, but that just shows you the culture that this company which was a DaVita, will put their patients and their staff in. I was a staff there. Right there. You see the water tanks behind me. You see my stethoscope on, the same one I'm wearing tonight. You see my scrub top on. This ain't no green screen picture behind, right there. That's in living color. And that's my experience and what I went through. Even before the COVID, I'm wearing a 3M filter mask because asbestos and other kind of elements are floating in the air. The odor, the stench. And people wonder, oh, you reported? Yes. I got OSHA papers I can go up and get right now and show you and read what they said. I did it anonymously. They didn't find anything. You tell me. OSHA comes in there. Why they didn't find that? Why they didn't see this? They saw that. So I just get mad because when I post these pictures to try to expose the truth, I have some warriors who may say, oh, that's the past. I'm worrying about now. Or why are you so worried about bashing them? No. What about the warriors who had to go through that? What even about myself? Not being selfish. Well, what about the other employees who had the other nurses that had to go in that room and check the water? That's just me. They didn't go in there with that on. So you don't know what kind of after effects they may have. Shit, I ain't stupid. You had all kind of cement dust floating in the air. That was crazy. And that can get into your lungs. You damn right I'm going to wear this. You look up cement dust. Look at that floor. You tell me if you wasn't a nurse and you worked there and you had to go in that room, you wouldn't do that? Shit. Like that guy say on The Wire. If you ever watched The Wire, the guy was like, excuse my language, you're like, shit. Hell no, I ain't stupid. I ain't no fool. I may joke around and all that, but when I worked, I made sure I took care of number one first, and then the patients were safe. Now, only thing I could do was give an anonymous call. Because Lord knows if I bucked up against them, they would have fired me right on spot. But they can't do anything now. I can expose them for who they are. And a lot of people can't handle the truth. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for watching. I mean, it should be more people watching this. And I'm not going to get mad because it saddens me because I'm putting the truth out there. And maybe people may not see it at their unit, but they don't know what goes on behind the scenes. They don't know when the unit is short and the staff is scrambling and they're rushing and that not going by protocol. I just want to expose that so when you go to dialysis, you'll be laser focused. Okay, you go in, you know your orders, you know that you're on the right field. You can go in and know that you're supposed to be on a 160. You come in, there's a 180 there. You know you're supposed to be on a 160, but you know why it's a 180 there? Because maybe this is what they do. If a person doesn't show up and they still got the filter hanging up, right? You may not be on the 160. You may not be on the 180. You may be on the 160. But if it's a 180 hanging up and a person didn't show up, they don't want to waste the supplies. They don't want to throw away the saline and the lines. That's wasting supplies. So what they do, let's call up so-and-so and see if he can come in, right? Hey, can you come in? We got a chair open. By the time you get there, there's already a kidney, everything set up, right? Because they asked the nurse, can we run him on it? So you go in there, you say, I'm supposed to be on the 160. They say, oh, the doctor say you can run on 180. Hell no, I want a 160. And they convince you to get on the 180 and you get sick. A lot of people be like, I never got sick before. It's no wonder, because they put you on that wrong dialyzer. So this is what I'm saying. These are some of the tricks of the trade that patients don't realize, because you put your trust in the hands of the people doing the care, but they're not going to tell you the bad stuff that goes on before you get there. That's why I'm here doing this, so you could be laser focused. You know what's going on. You go to your chair. You know that if you get heparin and you know you get 4,000, there's 4,000 in that syringe. You know if you get 15 gauge needles, there's 15 gauge needles there. You know if you're on a 160, there's a 160 hanging up. You know, whatever, man. All the checks are above. So, okay, I went to 9. So 10, it says, I am responsible for treating other patients' information as confidential. Lord have mercy, I can't tell you how many patients go to outpatient and you know other patients' business. Come on now, give me a thumbs up, because I know it happens. It happened at the unit I went to. Let me tell you how it plays out. Let's say, let me tell you how it plays out. If you got a patient that comes to dialysis, right, new patient, the staff, right, we already know if they HIV or not. That's the first status that we check. Let me tell you, I get a bunch of papers. That, you know, hold on. Sorry about that, guys. But what happens, the secretary comes with a bunch of papers, right? Admission packet, new patient, drops it on my desk. I'm already flipping through the assess, you know, the H&P. I'm looking through, seeing what's going on, history and physical. Boom, hepatitis status, HIV status. They already know. And then what happens if the person is HIV, right? Either myself or the nurse in charge tells the technician, be careful, the patient is HIV. I'm just being honest. Or the patient, well, they're already going to know you got Hep B if you got to go into the room if you Hep B positive, or if you got hepatitis C, or whatever disease that you may have. We already going to know about looking through the paper. And then we're going to tell the patient, we're going to tell the staff that's taking care of you. We're going to say something like, be careful, be extra careful. Even though you're supposed to treat everybody universal precaution, you know, when you know the status of someone, you're going to be extra careful. I'm just being honest. And so that staff, that person may tell somebody else, another staff. And then that staff may be friends with a patient and tell that patient. And you see how this kind of snowballs? So be careful who you tell your information to. But I'm telling you, if you have Hep C, HIV, Hep B, just know when you go in the unit, the staff already knows. That's all I want to say. Number 11, This is your responsibility. I am responsible for making child care arrangements so that children are not brought to the dialysis facility without supervision. I can't tell you at the dialysis facilities, the DaVitas that I worked at, that patients had to bring their kids and they had to sit in the lobby. Now, I know with COVID, that's probably not happening right now, but yes. But it says that you're not supposed to do that. It says 13, I am responsible for telling my healthcare team if I have experienced any health problems between treatments, have seen a physician, or have been given new medications and or old medications change. Yeah, Jared, it snowballs. I mean, that's why I wish there was more people on here watching so they can get the full effect of this. Number 14, you're responsible between treatments. I am responsible for following the directions from my healthcare team that are intended to prevent health problems. So when they say don't go out and gain no more than 1 to 3 treatments, you're supposed to not do that. And that's why when you come back in, a lot of patients feel like the physician or the healthcare team on them like, why you gain so much fluid? Because you're supposed to be responsible for not going out there. We told you not to gain over 3 liters. Now you're over 3, 4. You coming in short of breath or you having adverse symptoms. 15, I am responsible for complying with laundering instructions provided by the facility when laundering personnel clothing and linen. So that means they want you to wash your blanket that you bring in. They feel like it's dirty. You got to do it. Number 16, I am responsible for following the facility infection control and safety policies, IG, hand washing, at all times, but particularly when entering the facility, prior to initiation of treatment in the facility, and prior to exiting the facility. If I am receiving hemodialysis, this also includes ensuring that my vascular access site and line connection are visible at all times while receiving treatment. Excuse me. Yeah, I got my granddaughter here. She in the other room doing her thing, and I can hear her in here. All right. So now, that was 16 of the patient standards of conduct and responsibility. Now, here go the facility rules of this large organization. All right. Facility rules. There are 13. Number 1, no weapons, alcohol, or illegal drugs of any type are allowed in the dialysis facility. I may not come to the facility intoxicated or under the influence of drugs. Now, let's talk about that. Again, I worked for DaVita for 19 years off and on. There was one dialysis facility called Downtown Dialysis. Look it up. It's in Baltimore. DaVita Downtown Dialysis. You look at the zip code where it's at and the population, unfortunately, there's a very large minority population, mainly at the poverty level. But with that being said, when I worked there, we had patients coming in all the time under the influence, shot dope, smoked crack in the bathroom, in the hallway. I mean, we was exposed to all that. Did the facility administrator do anything? No. They knew. Patient go in the bathroom, had said they had to use the bathroom. They had a catheter. They take the syringe out and do what they do and inject the dope inside the catheter. When they come back out, you can tell because when they get back, they gnaw it out like that. You be like, what? Come on, man. You hook them back up and they sitting up in the chair. I'd be like, yo, Joe, you all right? Yeah, Steve, I'm all right. I mean, I was like, come on, man. But yes, and it says in here, but a lot of patients, you go to these units where you may not be exposed to this, but there are units that people are exposed. So I'm telling you, I experienced it myself, okay? I've been in a unit where a guy had a freaking handgun in his bag. You think I want to, man, only thing I can say is, Joe, man, you're not supposed to have that in here. Hey, but it didn't matter. Better ask somebody, man, this is real. And these clinics don't do nothing. There's no security guard, no nothing. Number 2, no smoking, e-cigarettes, chewing tobacco, or vaporizers are allowed in the facility. Number 3, no routine oral medications will be provided. I may bring these from home. However, I must tell the staff when I take any medication in the dialysis facility because some medications can cause complications during dialysis. Phones, if available, must be shared among all patients. That's out of the question now with COVID. There ain't going to be no phone sharing. Please be considerate and pass along the phones if requested after 5 minutes. Number 5, visitors are allowed. That's out of the question now. In the treatment appointment area only by permission of the nurse in charge. Visitors will be offered use of appropriate personnel protective equipment as deemed necessary. Number 6, blank is not responsible for loss of stolen articles. So look, guys, be careful. A lot of patients leave their coats behind or leave it on the coat rack, and the next thing you know, you come and somebody stole it. They're not responsible for it. The organization is not. Then they say, hey, young children will not be allowed. They're telling you this. So what if somebody doesn't listen? There's a lot of people or a lot of warriors that deal with this disease that has no child care, no other people to help watch their kids, and then they struck with kidney disease. What do? Here on the facility telling you, young children will not be allowed in the treatment appointment area except under special circumstances as determined by the nurse responsible for clinical care. In addition, children cannot be left in the waiting area without adult supervision. How many warriors seen children in the waiting area of your dialysis facility and you wonder, I wonder who kids they are? Hell, I even seen staff have their kids come in and either sit out in the lobby or go in our employee lounge. Number 9, eating is permitted during treatment appointment at the discretion of the facility administrator designee where medically indicated or as per state network requirements. So don't let them tell you you can't eat unless you know what the rule is. Don't let no technician or staff nurse say, oh no, you can't eat that in here. Say, or go and pull up your facility standard of contact, your facility rules, and see if eating is permitted, especially if you're type 2 diabetic or type 1 and you need to eat because you had insulin or taking your medicine. Number 10, a lot of people don't know this. Taking videos, still photos, or audio recordings of patients and staff members is prohibited in the treatment area. So how many videos have you seen warriors broadcast from their treatment floor? Now, if you go to one of these big companies, DeVito, Fresenius, you're not allowed to do that. And if they catch you, they can discharge you. Number 11, no acts or threats of violence by anyone on blank premises is tolerated, right? So if you have a beef with a technician or a nurse, they F up your arm, they do something, or they say something smart, or whatever the case, you having a bad day and just some verbal exchanges, and you be like, I'm going to kick your ass when you get off, or I'm going to call my peoples, have them come up and fist the cuff and all that. You're going to be out the door. They ain't going to tolerate it. Number 12, no verbal, physical, or visual intimidation or harassment is tolerated. So it's like no mean mugging, even to another patient. Like if you don't like something somebody said or whatever, you know how these little spats go on. You at the unit and somebody come in, had a funky day. You say something to them, they get smart with you. You get smart back, and they may be sitting on across from you or whatever, and you like this, like, yeah, I'm you up. That's visual intimidation. You looking at the staff, they may have messed up your arm or whatever, and you staring them down, like, no, you can't do none of that. And number 13, everyone is responsible for immediately reporting. So somebody can report you, and you may not even know it. Everyone is responsible for immediately reporting acts or threats of violence, intimidation, or harassment, right? You may see a tech female, you may like guys, you may, want her number, like, hey, why don't you go out with me? Or, females to the tech guys. Yeah, any type of harassment. These reports should be given to the nurse responsible for clinic care or other blank teammates as appropriate, meaning the social worker or facility administrator. Now, this is the important part. This is the important part that I'm about to read, and it's very, very critical that if you're watching this, you understand and you share it. Very critical when I'm about to read. Potential consequences for failing to comply. Now, we can look up the word comply and see what Webster says. Now, I'm going to read, because you got to look at these, the language that these guys are putting in. Comply means of a person or group act in accordance with a wish or command, meet specified standards. Okay? Here it goes. Potential consequences for you the kidney warrior for failing to comply. I understand I must comply with all stated patient standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules. My failure to comply may have serious consequences, including but not limited to physical side effects, loss of privileges, and temporary or permanent dismissal from the facility. Now check this out. If I behave like you're a child, if I behave in a way that violates these patient standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules, the administrator, physician, or regional director, as applicable, will discuss the behavior with me. Should I continue to behave in a way that is detrimental to the proper functioning of the facility, the interdisciplinary team, with the guidance of the ESRD network, will follow a progressive, check this out, behavioral management. They're going to put you on a contract, G, process up to and including potential involuntary discharge, meaning you're being blackballed. And there's thousands, there's up to 1,000 patients being blackballed each year. You can look that up. I'm not making that up. Then it goes on to say, I agree, right? And I want to say hello to the people in my watch party that watched. Thank you, guys. But then it says, I agree to abide by the patient's standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules at all times, not sometimes, all times, right? While registered as a patient with that facility. And then it goes on to say, I hereby acknowledge that I have read and understand the above. I have asked whatever questions I have regarding the patient's standards of conduct, responsibilities, and facility rules. And if I have further questions, I will ask them. And then you go on to sign your John Hancock. Some people, what I normally do, why company want me to admit patients, they always got somebody else to do it, even though I was the charge nurse, because I went down this mug. You know, I went through everything, and it took about an hour. They want me to go through this shit in about 15, 20 minutes. I went down and made sure patients understood it or their family member. Some patients, when I try to get into it, they're like, no, let me just sign and I'll read it later. If they read it later, I don't know. But I'm going to make sure if I was there, if I was working and if it was your mom or dad or you and you came in, I want to make sure you understand everything that's about to happen. Because in the hospital, it was whip, bam, bam. You sit upstairs, catheter in, nurse in, hook up for dialysis. You're on dialysis. You're sitting back wondering what the hell just happened. Just like that. But when you go to outpatient dialysis, it's a whole different ball game. Got a whole different cast of characters, right? You got a whole different cast of characters. You got, just look at it like a movie set. You got a director, right? Which is the charge nurse. And then you got your cast of characters. You got your dietitian. You got your social worker. You got your technicians. You got the patients. You got the secretary. And then all throughout that cast of characters and everything that goes on, you got different things that go on. You got different staff that hang together. You got different patients that communicate. You got patients that don't like this patient. You got a patient bringing in candy for everybody. You got this patient is always sick. I mean, it's such a large variety of characters, dynamics that it's just sometimes it's hard to not be overwhelmed when you first go into this environment. And what I want to do, and I didn't even put my book up here to show you, but if you go on my page, you'll see a picture of my book, How to Survive Outpatient Hemodialysis, a guide for patients with kidney failure. That book demystifies. It helps remove a lot of the barriers or a lot of the unknown that patients who automatically finds out that they're hit with dialysis just out of nowhere and their world is just rocked like a freaking earthquake. This book, you look at it, you see the front cover, you see the opening of the dialysis facility. It looks overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be that way. But it's like that for a lot of people. Scary, the unknown. What's behind that door? It's like, let's make a deal. What's behind the curtain? Once you get in the facility, you see that big door, that brown door with is covered. You can't see in. And it's like, what the fuck is behind that door? The unknown. Well, this book will help you visualize what's behind that door. So once you get into that clinic, or once you step through those doors, once you open those doors, you may have some fear, but you know what the hell is supposed to go on. All right. Once you open that door to that facility, once you read that manual, that book, that guide, whatever you want to call it, you'll know. And while I'm here, I would just like to acknowledge, which I haven't acknowledged yet, but I'm going to do it. 3 people I want to acknowledge. Let's remove this banner and get ready to end this show. But before I end this show, I just want to personally acknowledge 3 people. Well, really 4, the publishing company, but 3 people that definitely helped me bring this book to fruition, right? Laura Gale. nurse out of New York, BSN nurse, didn't know me from a can of paint, and saw one of my posts about me finishing the manuscript and offered to edit my manuscript. I mean, just out of the clear blue. So that's one person. Dr. Ken Souther, who wrote one of my forwards, pediatric nephrologist, kidney warrior himself, transplant recipient. And then you had Charles Bonner, civil rights attorney, that was on the Pettit Bridge at 16 with John Lewis on Bloody Sunday. These guys, and he contributed forward from he contributed to the forward from a civil rights perspective. And I want to thank the publishing company, Walters Publishing, for having that faith in me and doing this book. So telling you guys, you know, this is very special to me, because if I showed you those pictures, and I'm getting emotion because, again, a lot of people don't know my 33-year journey. And to be put in a situation like this, where I don't know if I'm going to have any long-term lung problems, being exposed to an environment like this, working in conditions like this, right? A lot of people don't know my journey. Being stabbed in the back by a lot of people that I helped get ahead. A lot of people that asked me to write references for, or I hired, or anything like that. But the 1 minute that I got injured and could no longer contribute as a charge nurse, I got chastised. Or if I was sitting down working because I had restrictions, or machine go off right in front of me, and the technician down here talking to somebody, and I'm doing something, the machine go off. They looking at me, expecting me to get up and do it, but then they make a joke. Oh, I forgot. You got back issue, or you supposed to have back issue. This is the shit that I went through and all throughout my career. Being refused to help someone because of my skin color, or a freaking Caucasian lady telling me on an interview I need to work on my dictation, or people just stabbing me in the back, or just not being there for me. Even friends now who know that what I've done, that I grew up with, years that I've known from childhood, that see the work that I'm doing, people I've been in the military with, that know what I'm doing. Not that I want accolades from them, but never, ever said, damn, man, you doing some positive shit. Or damn, let me contribute to what you're doing. People that got money, right? But yet, it's the people that I don't know and that I never met in person, that see the work that I'm doing, that may be dealing with this disease, and that sold 5, 10, 15 to when we put out fundraisers. But yet, people that I've known 25, 30 fucking years, can't even put up $1 or the support. So yes, I want, I just saying, it's been a hell of a journey, and this book means a lot to me. So I want to look at these 4 comments, and I'm gonna call it a night. He said, Robert Sweet said there should have never been people allowed to sit back there anyway. I don't know about recording staff, but everyone plays on their phones. The DaVita I go to. Yeah, man, it's like that, bro. It's like that. And people don't realize that they put people's lives in stake. You know, somebody, they playing on the fucking phone and somebody could go out, have a cardiac arrest and they not even know. You know, you could be at a place and the fucking staff is all gone. I worked at places. Union Memorial for one. Yeah, I said it, Union Memorial, where you could be at a place, there's 9 patients there and in the back room, and you go back there, you know, I come back there looking, trying to, where people at? And they in the damn break room, because the break room right across from the 9 stations. Now, how, if you in the break room, how are you going to see the person all the way in the back in that room where it's 9 chairs? See, this is the shit that I went through. I had to deal with, or if I said something, oh, he always saying something. He this, he that. Yeah, I know. Yeah, but you can stand up for yourself with the staff, though. No, not no crazy shit, but yeah. Yeah, it cannot. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's what's in that rules of conduct, what they say. And you know, if you miss, Robbie, I know you know a veteran, bro. I know it. And what I'm just saying, like if someone, like I knew someone, bro, who still urinated and they felt like they didn't have to come, so they would miss the whole month. And the next time you see them is because, like, if you miss 30 days straight of treatment, like if you're in a hospital or rehab, they can give your chair away. So I knew people who used to miss frequently, and they'll come on that 29th day. I tell you, they played the system well. But then, you know, the company started getting wind of that, the social worker and stuff like that. So, yeah, man, this is crazy. And it's come down to this. If you would have asked me when I started dialysis in 1985, if I would be here in 2020, you know, talking about this and fighting for your rights on dialysis, your patient's rights, and knowing what goes on so you don't get the flim flam, I would have never thought that would ever occur. But that's what God has ordained me to do, and I'm going to continue to do it and continue to speak my mind and just let what's known be known, pretty much. So with that being said, like thank you guys for watching. Please share this broadcast. Talked about patients' rights, and particularly, you know, code of conduct, facility rules. That's how it is with Fresenius, DaVita, US Renal, any place you go for treatment, even if it's in even if it's in a nursing home facility, you're going to sign patients' rights and responsibility, facility rules, and patient conduct. So thank you, Les. I appreciate you watching, guys. Again, thank you guys for watching. Steve, the kidney nurse, patients' rights and responsibilities. See you guys tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow, Lisa Baxter show. And I'm going to have on Dr. Webster, MD, PhD. We're going to talk about COVID in the minority community. Will you take the vaccine? You know, that's something that we got to talk about. Again, even with kidney disease, COVID is plaguing the minority at a despairingly disproportionate rate. I mean, it's all above. And that's something that needs to be talked about. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Why is it the disparity in the Black community? And why is the vaccine always first offered in the minority community? I don't care what they show on TV with Pence getting the vaccine live. That could be a freaking placebo. We don't know. I wasn't there to see who drew up that vial, or I mean, I don't trust the government when it comes to that. And I'm just being real. We don't know what was in that vial. Just like we don't know about the Kennedy assassination or UFOs or whatever the case may be. Can't never trust the government when it comes to that type of stuff that can sway the population. So I'm not that stupid. I definitely believe in aliens, because we should, the technology we have and how we came so far in so short of time with technology, it got to be something out there, bigger than us. So I am not that naive to not think we're the only ones in this universe. So with that being said, thank you guys. God bless you. And don't forget, tomorrow, World Kidney News International, 7 o'clock. Got Dr. Romith. I don't want to mess up her name. Dr. Webster. Tomorrow night, we're talking COVID in the minority community. Would you take the vaccine? Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Leslie. Everybody who comment, I appreciate you guys. Seemed like you did a lot of the comment, Leslie. Robert, Jared, thank you. I appreciate all your support, Leslie. I'm definitely going, next time I come to Atlanta, I want to come and we're going to have lunch. All right. Talk to you guys later. Peace out. Stay blessed and encouraged. Peace.